This is Art Talk with April, an artist podcast where we meet artists from all around the southeastern states. Thanks for joining us. Let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome to Art Talk with April. Today I am re-interviewing Juliana Guillen Maddox. She is a mixed media artist, I think primarily gouache and acrylic and some collage and different things. So we're going to get right into it and I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, a lot of mixed media. I switched between, so I actually used to do oil paint mostly. And then I got a pack of acrylic paint, just some Liquitex, the little ones, and started messing around with that. And I started messing around with gouache because I saw a whole bunch of paintings like that and was like, I want to try that. And I realized how nice it is when things dry right away and I don't have to wait. And so when I started using the acrylics, it's so forgiving. And I felt like I could do a lot more of what I was thinking about and putting it onto the canvas versus like when you're working with oils, you have this idea, but you also need so much patience to do it. And I feel pretty good about a lot of my oil paintings, but I feel really good about my acrylics because I can make sure it's what I want. And so yeah, that's kind of how I ended up with it. And then I always have these funny thoughts going on in my head. So I used to make mixed medias where I had to put pieces of a book in there that it was reminding me of or little, words but then I started having fun with my astronomy magazine where I was going through that and I was like, I could just take this moon and where is it? It's not here, and then go into these different worlds with it and started having fun with that.
Yeah. I mean, when I came across your work on, I think it was through Low Mill, I was like, holy cow, that is so cool. That is just so what I would love. I fall in love with other people's art and then I'm like, I want to do that. I would like my art to look like that, but I don't want it to be the same. But I like that element of it. And I think the astrology part and then realizing that it's sort of, I mean, you've got some collage sort of element, right? As well in there. So
Yeah.
you're planning out your painting and then have you already planned out what you're putting collage wise on top of that?
I'm much better at that right now. When I first started doing these mixed media mandalas, I knew I had been doing space painting and I had been doing abstract art and I have all these crazy dreams and I love my garden and I was like, I really want to put this into one thing. And in my mind, I kept thinking about I love old maps. I love my favorites, the maps when, all the guys are out on the boat traveling forever and then mapping the land and then it would come together and you get to see what they thought, and it's pretty accurate. It's pretty amazing. And so I love stuff like that. And so I started thinking about what would star maps look like? If people are traveling or you're going somewhere else. I think of really weird things on other planets, dinosaurs probably haven't gone extinct, right?
Yeah.
So what does their 9 to 5 look like, And so do they have bowls instead of cups of coffee? They don't have chairs. They gotta lean on something, right? And so I always go down these weird rabbit holes, but I was thinking about okay, what does a space map look like and how would you do that? And I was thinking about circles and lines. And I have this other painting I did from a dream. And it's this, woman who came with a message, but behind her I had these arcs. And I was thinking maybe it's a circle, and you think of those other paintings. What is the clock in Prague? They've got the big astronomical clock and they all point to different things and go through all of the saints and the days and
That's so cool to me. I think that's so fascinating.
and
And
I
now I
thought,
want to look up all the things okay, who's this and why is that?
yeah, it's so cool. And you look at it and I think any artist might think this too, is when you look at those clocks you think, wow, it'd be really fun to just make your own based on your own life with your own themes going on. And so I kind of got my first big mandala one was kind of based on that, where I was looking at the themes of life. And so that one has things like alpha and Infinity, XYZ, all the places that we go, and all the interesting rabbit holes I go down where they talk about like 1 over 137 and these really magic numbers that kind of make
Yeah.
reality real. Yeah, so that's how I got the first one. But then when I started going through this, I realized that I was having so much fun because they were just 12 by 12
Yeah.
canvas boards.
Yeah.
And usually when I do a painting, it's big and I have to do it at low mill because that's where it is and that's where all the oil paint is. And it's such a hassle to have to take it home. But with these 12 by 12s, I could go anywhere with them, put my
Yeah.
acrylics in my tote bag and, work on it with a podcast during the week when I'm not at low mill. And it was really peaceful. And so I started doing themes where like I wanted to do a Southwest theme because I loved Lisa Frank when I was a kid and all
Yeah.
the scenes of the desert. And so I was like, I want to make my own like that. And then what else did I do? I did like cityscapes. I like to do like a dreamy cityscape with space in the background. And so it's just kind of fun. But what I would do is when I would look at those, like I'd get an idea and I'd kind of like, squint and think like, okay, what do I want in this? And that's gone away now. And now I go into Canva because I have an idea of what I want. And
Oh,
I've started
yeah.
collaging in Canva and it's made a huge difference.
Oh,
So I can figure out what I want. I can take some of my own images, or if I need like just like some funky lines that are going up and down, I can find those really quick and I can move them around on the page to see, because like there's a point when you're looking at something like you can follow all of the elements of design and everything, but sometimes you just get a feeling and you're like, okay, now it looks right. Like the moon's not supposed to be
yeah.
there, it's supposed to be here. And so that's been working out a lot better and helping me because in the beginning, some of those have other paintings underneath where I would look at it and I was like, I hate
Oh,
this. I have to read.
oh,
And I would go over it and it would kind of evolve and then turn into something. And my joke is
oh,
I'm like, once I'm like, it's not for sale, that's when I know it's done because I love it.
yeah.
But so yeah, now I do the collage in
Yeah.
Canva. And it's fun. Like sometimes I want to like make those out of my own pictures, like putting things
Mm.
into Canva. It's so much fun they have so many new apps and tools in there now, so you can
Oh,
cut
yeah.
things.
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
love,
Like remove backgrounds and
yeah, yeah,
that kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah. I guess he's just going to be passing by.
Okay. What is your nephew's name?
Okay, so my sister-in-law named him Splat, but I call him Mr. Sploots. Come here, come here, come on, little baby.
For those of you who are listening on the audio, we
Yeah.
have the cutest little, he's such a cool cat.
He sleeps
Oh
right
my
next to my
goodness.
face now, and I wake up with scratchy eyes. You gotta get down.
Oh.
All right. Okay.
Oh, what are those kinds of cats called?
Well,
With the squishy face?
yeah, he's also got the really short legs. So
Yeah.
it's some special breed.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always had dogs, and then there's this cat here, and
Yeah.
there's another one, but that one hides all the time, but they're best friends. So
Yeah. We've
yeah.
got the same sort of situation here. I've managed to shut them out somehow. I don't know. But we've got a older cat, one older like that's 6, and she's tiny and hides. And then we've got a 1-year-old cat that is very rambunctious and wild and fun and friendly. And he's
Yeah.
giant. I mean, she's giant. She's like twice the size of our other cat, but she's
Do they
only
get along
one.
well?
Not at first. Now they're a little bit more, I don't know if they're friends or if they're frenemies, but something's going on there.
That's good. Yeah. I know. I like to say that the other cat is Splat's cat. That's his cat.
Oh.
Yeah, because they're best friends. So yeah.
I think our first cat, she was just so used to being on her own. And then this crazy rambunctious kitten came along and she was like, yeah, I didn't agree to this. This cat is annoying.
Yeah.
Like,
This is my house. Yep.
I like quiet time, and this is
Mhm.
not the same thing. Well, I also wanted to go back to like, so how did you get started being creative? Like, were you doing this as a kid and grew up making art and that kind of
Yeah.
thing?
And so I grew up, my mom is one of five, and all of them are artists in their own way.
Creative
And it's
family.
funny because like they're either artists or lawyers. I don't know. And so
Well, that's an interesting
I know.
combination.
Yeah. But I like to just joke that they're all CEOs because somewhere in there they're all running their own business, right? So we grew up, my cousin, who's a little bit older than he and me and my sister, we would grow up in downtown Denver. And then in the summertime, my family had land up in the Rocky Mountains, up next to Rocky Mountain National Park.
Yeah.
Really beautiful area. And we had a generator at night, but there was no electricity during the day, go for a
Yeah.
hike, right? Or go play outside, or we used to play hide and seek in the willows, and it was a lot of fun. But we would also sit in this big dining room that had these big windows that would look over this field, and then Cascade Mountain was right in front of us. And we would
Wow.
have drawing contests. And so we'd have contests of drawing Cascade. And then we'd have contests of drawing like futuristic cars because, then Back to the Future came out. And so we just wanted to draw like all the cars that we thought were going to be around when we grew up.
Oh, that's fun.
And so we would do that a lot. So it was kind of like if you get bored, my mom, who worked at a law firm, always had printer paper.
Yeah.
And so when we got bored, she's like, here's some paper, draw something. And so that was just kind of like, I remember one time I babysat as a teenager and these kids were born. I was like, well, why don't we draw? And they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
So it's just always been there. I mean,
Yeah.
like, so I feel like, I don't know. I think I'd feel naked if I didn't have like art in my life. I just feel like
Yeah.
that's part of all of us. And sometimes you get people who come around and say, I can't even draw a stick figure. I'm like, yes, you can. It's probably the best one too, because you
Yeah.
don't think you can, right? We're all creators.
Mhm.
So it's just, yeah, it wasn't something where like I started drawing later in life. It was like, ooh, I like this. It's just,
Always been there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, so cool. And so did you go to school or did you do something else for a while?
It was kind of a mishmash, I guess, because when I
Mhm.
went to high school, I actually chose the high school I went to for their music program
Oh.
because I loved piano when I was a
Mhm.
kid, and I still compose music today. And I had a classical teacher, but I got into jazz piano when I was a teenager, and the high school I went to had a great jazz program.
Oh, wow.
And so I started going there. And then I was taking art class in school, but then they did this program over at the college. It was called Warren Technical Institute. That's out
Mhm.
in Golden, Colorado. And they had a program where you could get, I think you could get college credit. I don't really remember anymore, but I could go half the day and do graphic design over at this
Yeah.
college. And you'd meet like other kids from other high schools in the area too, and we would all
Mhm.
kind of converge there. And so that's where I kind of started with graphic design. And then I had a dream that it's a weird dream. I went into this house and these kids were playing on a computer, and my art was on the computer, like something I had drawn, but it was moving. And I was like, what is this? And when I had the dream, it's like early 90s. I didn't know what
Yeah.
computer animation was. But one of the kids said, yeah, you should do this with your art. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I got into graphic design, but then, life took over and I had to go to work. When I was doing like arts administration, I grew up in theater.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
in Denver, I had a great job where it mixed like arts administration. So I was like the, office manager helping all the people doing theater, and I was helping the art department. It was a big facility. And so I was kind of like, you kind of feel on the outside of the bubble that you want to be in. And so,
Yeah.
but it was also good because I learned how, all of the things worked and whatnot. But then when I moved out to Huntsville 2013, I followed my husband out here. I had a job that was a total flop when I moved out here, and I was like, I got to start over. And he's like, well, why don't you go back to college? And I was like, okay. So I went out to Calhoun and
Mhm.
did computer graphics and animation out there.
Oh, okay.
And then I continued on, and I didn't know what I wanted to do really. So I
Mhm.
chose marketing over at UAH.
Yeah.
And like I learned a lot, but I kind of, like I wish I did something more like in depth, like sociology. Like I really
Mhm.
want to know why people are choosing something.
Yeah.
I'm not into social media that much, but yeah, so that's the school that I did. But otherwise, I'd been doing it all the time, or like,
Mhm.
my friends here and there would like pay me to, make posters or whatever for them. Or,
Sure.
I was
Yeah.
the person who did the blackboard when I worked in restaurants,
Yeah.
all the specials. So
That's always fun. I like applied to one of those jobs once and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do these chalkboard signs. I can't even remember who it's for. It's like Whole Foods or something.
yeah.
They would hire artists and I was like, oh,
Really?
that is so cool. They're gonna have, somebody who actually does that. I didn't get it. It's okay though.
Yeah. I just
I
kind of
just
fell
thought that
into
was so
it.
cool. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
But so you were And then how did you eventually get into having a studio at
Oh,
Low
so
Mill?
I can't remember the first time I went to Low Mill because I feel like it was when my family was visiting. So I don't
Yeah.
know how I first heard about it. And it could be that when I was over at the art school out in Decatur, maybe they had been talking about it because I was in my bubble just going back to college here. So I didn't know where anything was, what the cool
Yeah.
stuff was to do. I wasn't meeting a lot of people. And so I think I went to Low Mill like maybe 3 times. And it'd be when like my mom and my sister were visiting. We'd go over there and
Mhm.
walk through.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I think it was like 2018, 2019. I started thinking like, wait a second, I don't want to like visit the armadillos every night in the garage, even though they're really cute. Like I think I need a space. Cause like
Yeah.
I was like next to the car and then like there's junk and then I'm painting. And I was like, wait a sec, I could have a space out there. That'd be really great. And so I put in the application and then I didn't hear back for a while, but then I finally did. And then it was a long time before I found the right studio. That was
Yeah.
another thing because when you're doing oil paint when I was like, I need a sink, I need a place where like I feel
Mhm.
comfortable and like I wasn't familiar with the city. And so like I was pretty specific about like I want to be in a place where like there's lots of people walking by. And so it took like 6 months before,
Oh,
and sorry, there's a
wow.
helicopter going over if you hear it. But yeah, it took like 6 months. But then I got in January of 2021.
Uh-huh.
I moved in and it was the end of the pandemic. So it was total ghost town in there and meeting new people. We all were masked up. So it was kind of hard to like remember who you spoke to.
Yeah.
But it was also right as people were kind of revamping things and getting started again. So like the coffee shop down the hall had just like decorated their walls and I got to see it. And so
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that I saw where it's like the rebuilding really
Yeah. Yeah.
like because I think a lot of people left because you don't want to pay the rent if you can't be
Sure.
there. And so it was this like quiet time. And my studio was mostly empty because
Yeah.
most of my work was in Denver.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I
Yeah.
felt like I had to start over again, but now it's full.
And
Yeah.
how has that been going for you as far as having your studio there? Are you there
I love,
all the
yeah.
time or how
No,
does it
I'm only
work?
there like during the school year. I really thought I was going to be there like Thursday, Friday, Saturday consistently, but we sent my daughter to a new school that's just wonderful, but they have a ton of homework
Mhm.
and I got to be around for that. And so Thursday nights usually before, they've got tests in the morning, end
Mhm.
of the week, and so I found that Thursdays are a little bit more difficult, and so
Mhm.
during the school year it's just Friday, Saturday.
Oh,
And then with these smaller pieces, I was able to take them home.
yeah.
And now I'm shifting gears a little bit and trying to. I just got back from a vacation visiting my family.
Mhm.
And it was really nice because I got to go to Utah and look at new things and
Oh,
go to
yeah, that's
Denver and
cool.
like go on a big road trip. But now I am hoping this summer to be there more like
Mhm.
most of Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I've got some bigger pieces here. So now instead of those 12 by 12s, I
Mhm.
really want to make some derivatives on like nice heavy canvas of 24 by
Mhm.
24. And as much as I love mixed media, I'm challenging myself to take those collages that I'm making and
Mhm.
just paint, and that's it. So if it does look like collage, I really want to have a play of the eye with that. So, like, it might
Mhm.
look like there's a paper butterfly on there with a shadow, but I want to paint that and
Yeah.
have fun with that. So that's what I'm working
That's
on now.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always enjoyed those kind of paintings where it looks like paper, but it's been painted, like, and
Yeah.
you're like, is that collage or is that a painting? So that's cool. That's a cool
Yeah.
little, so how much have you done on that? Have you just started kind of thinking that way?
Yeah, because we just got back last weekend. And
Yeah.
so I'm working on, there's a gallery out here called Flourish, and they asked for 12 by 12 paintings for people to submit. And I was like, well, that's what I do.
Yeah.
So
It's meant to be.
we'll see. I mean, I don't know, but I'm working on one right now. But this is the first one where it's only painting. And so while I'm working on it, I've also, my daughter's home running around with her friend from across the street and the cat.
Yeah.
Keep the cat out of the paint. But now that I'm back, though, I think, this is when I can say like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I can like get my tote bag and disappear and go over to my studio and just like get my space, be uninterrupted. Because generally at Low Mill, like Thursday, Friday, there's people who come in, but it's pretty quiet. And then
Yeah.
Saturday, I just assume that I'm on for
Mm.
people. I'm there for the people. And so like because I remember in the beginning it'd be like, oh, somebody else walked in. I'm still trying to paint. I was like, no, 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 I got to change my mind about this. Saturday's not for me. It's for the people who are coming in. And
Mhm.
like Thursday, Friday, you go a little bit in between, but it's mostly quiet. You can stay a little, after hours. Um, but yeah, Saturday's like customer service Juliana
Yeah,
day.
that's interesting. That's a common question that I ask a lot of the artists that are at Low Mill, like how they think about their space and how they feel about it, or if they, just go there to paint, or are they, like welcoming people in and focusing on that, or how they, because everybody kind of has a different perspective in what they're doing. And I've seen some people's studios are like, I mean, that's their studio. It's covered in supplies, and it
Yeah.
kind of it might have like a corner of where some art's hanging up or something, but it's like that's their working place.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some where like they just work there and you don't really have a shopping place. And then
Yeah.
that's where that sociology comes in, where I'm like really interested because I'll move my studio around a lot. And I'm always so interested in like, okay, I have this table towards the back because I've got one of those long studios that goes back and then the windows are in the
Yeah.
back. And if I sit in the back, people will come in, but I feel like there's this awkwardness because I'm like kind of just sitting there.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's weird looking at stuff. But I've got this 6 foot table that's kind of right in the middle of the studio sideways, right? And if I
Yeah.
sit there and I'm working on something, but I'm available, I feel like I'm more comfortable. The people who walk in are more comfortable because I can say,
Mhm.
like, feel free to look around. It doesn't look like, I'm watching you look at my stuff.
Yeah.
Because nobody likes that. Like when you're
I-
somebody's like, oh, like, why are you looking at that? Like, I
yeah.
don't, it can get awkward. And like, there's some people where I just like immediately can jump into small talk and we have a great conversation, and others, they're a little standoffish, and then I'm feeling a little, and then,
Yeah.
you're like, I need something to
I
do.
mean, it's very similar to like setting up a booth at like a market or an art event. And you're like, you set up your space with your tables where people walk around. And from the shopping perspective, the people who have their table and they're just sitting there behind their table and they're just like sitting there, that's intimidating. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you kind of feel like you need to walk in now because they've caught your eye, and then
Yeah.
they're like looking at you and I don't know. I've just always been curious about like you said, like the social aspect of why people do it one way versus another. And,
Yeah. And I'll walk around and I'll
it
think
seems
about like,
like you would want, though, if you had that space, you'd want people come in.
yeah, right. It's interesting. So I like to look in the studios around because there's some where like I noticed there's studios at Loma where people are in there all the time. And there's something about how you walk in and the space you have and like the comfort you get once you walk into a studio. And it's really hard to do with that thin space. And then I was also
Yeah.
just at my first vendor event out at Arts
Yeah.
Alive in Florence. And I won the scholarship. I was one of 4 people who won the scholarship. And
Oh,
so
no.
it was really nice because when I got there, the tent's already set up and they said they were going to provide a table. And for some reason in my eye, I must have not read enough. I thought it was going to be a 6 foot table. But when I
Mm.
got there, it was one of those 8 foot tables that are like the
Mm.
heavy, sturdy wood with the metal legs. It's not going to
Oh
blow
my
over, right?
goodness.
But I had the
Yeah.
hardest time moving it. And so I was that person where I was sitting behind the table because in my
Yeah.
mind I thought I would have like a table off on the side and that I would
Yeah.
just like sit off to the side and then like fill in. So I learned a lot from that. Also about like I'm interested to ask other artists too, like when they go to these different events, what they're noticing. So, like at Arts Alive, I noticed that a lot of the families who were coming in were like, I love this, but I don't want to deal with getting it framed. So, like if you have your little prints ready and framed to just take, things like you notice what's simpler for people and what they're looking for. A lot of families, a lot of kids, a lot of easy buys there where like I have wands, those
Yeah.
with stickers, just like the fun stuff. But you're right, like that setup where you're just sitting there. And so I kept a
Mm.
book with me, just,
Yeah.
because I don't want to make people feel nervous. It's that thing where you're
Yeah.
like, oh no, like, do I have to buy something now?
Yeah.
I
I'm
want
like,
people to
okay,
feel
do
like
I
that.
speak to everybody who comes in here or
All right. Well, and
hi,
like
how are
growing up
you?
doing customer service, I've got this thing over my head where I'm like, you're going to be in trouble if you don't say hi. You've got to ask how they're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've been there. I've done that. Yeah. You're
Mhm.
supposed to speak to everybody.
Yeah.
Can I help you with anything? Are you
Right.
looking for something today? And I'm
Yeah.
like,
I know.
I actually just had a conversation with another artist, and this other artist was nervous about being on the podcast. And so she wanted to have a pre-conversation. And I've never done that before, but it was fun. And she was telling me that her granddaughter, who is 6, came along, was starting to come along with her. And the granddaughter is very friendly and outgoing for a 6-year-old, and that she sold all of her art things just because she was cute and she was friendly, and she would have
Hmm.
conversations with the customers like, so what is your favorite color, and things like that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
They're great. We had an artist at Low Mill years ago, and she had this really joyful daughter who would go around and she'd make her own paintings and she'd say, well, they're for sale, and people would buy them off of
Yeah.
her in the hall. She just,
Oh, that's so
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Oh man. But I think about things like that. Like what is the plan? And I guess everybody's going to be different and use it for different reasons in different ways. But then also if you're comfortable enough to work on something in a serious way, but also have people coming in and out, and doing things. And I mean, have you ever had any interesting experiences with that as far as
Oh,
like people
yeah.
coming in and
I
stuff?
have completely not noticed people because my favorite thing that I have are these big noise canceling headphones. And so I'll get lost in a podcast and I'll be painting and I think I'm gonna see someone come in and then like I'll just happen to look up and there's someone who's just been like
Standing
staring
there.
at me and kind of laughing. And so I now have a sign. I've got that little like folding blackboard sign and it says, now please come in. And then I explain myself like I might be lost in a podcast. So if you need me,
Yeah.
you just gotta wave. Because I mean, I also
Oh my
started
God.
wearing glasses because looking up close for too long.
Yeah.
I hit that age where when I look up, I'm like, oh, I can't see anything now.
Yeah.
I had to go get glasses to do the things that are closer. So then I'll be locked in with my glasses and the headphones. So then when I look,
Oh,
I can't, I've got to like undo everything. And so that's what I mean. Like Saturday, you got to just be kind of on for people because
yeah.
it's just busy and people come in and out and some of them say hi, some of them, just want to look for a second. And so that's just, I try to find like catch up things on Saturdays. So, like, if I'm cleaning or there's some things I wanted to work on that are just like simple, like, I love to do, those are the days where I like to get the gouache out and just do
Oh,
some
yeah.
color blocking. I like to take pictures of my garden and just like find the colors and go through and make some
Oh,
abstract little tiny paintings. Those are
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, gouache would be one of those mediums that would be pretty easy to kind of, you don't have to worry about it like being completely ruined because
Yeah.
you let it sit there too long or something,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
fun. So, like, what are your plans as far as what you're wanting to do with your art? And are you looking to get into gallery spaces as well and other places, or just focusing on the studio? Like, what's your
I'm
thoughts
a
around
little
that?
all over the place because I think so. In the beginning of the year, I applied for a whole bunch of stuff and I got the whole bunch of stuff. And then all
Oh,
that bunch of stuff happened in May. And I was like,
oh my
oh,
God.
like that's cool. And there's a apartment building out here, luxury apartments called Stella Five Points. And they made this really nice offer to Low Mill that if they had artists who are interested in displaying their work, they could apply. And I was like, okay. So um they called back and I get to be the first artist. And
Oh,
they have this huge wall. And so I've got 6 of those squares and 2 of my big paintings on their wall. And it's
wow.
just a beautiful space. I get to go there tomorrow evening and they're having a Stella tenant party. But it's also an opportunity for the other artists at Low Mill to come look at the wall, show their interest, get on the
Yeah,
list. And
that's
so
super
my art is
cool.
there, but there's also that feeling where I'm so used to having my art up at Low Mill that the idea that my art is up in this other space where I'm not seeing it on a regular basis feels, it's a little jarring at first, but then
Mm.
now that some time has gone by since I, set it up there and whatnot, like I feel better Like, it's like when you sell a piece of art you love, you're like, ooh, but then after it's over, you're like, I'm okay. Everything's fine. It's okay.
I just gave away one of my children. It's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I always think about the art that I make and that some of them are these long processes. So like I've got
Mhm.
these big 2 feet by 4 feet pieces
Yeah.
that I work on that are mixed media, mostly oil, based on dreams. They have these huge stories that go with them, and
Mhm.
it's going to be like years before that one is done. And so I've
Oh,
had people ask, "Oh, can I buy this?" And I'm like, "I can't sell it yet." I mean, like
yeah.
we could talk about it, but it might be 10 years
Yeah.
before I'm ready because I have all
Oh my
these
goodness.
big panels of these dreams
Yeah.
and like I want to make some stories. But then like the squares, I love that there's like a series there and I want to continue with those. And there's another element that I want to bring in because I have butterflies and everything right now. And
Mhm.
so I want to bring in another kind of like random thing. And work on making that. So when I think of like, I would love galleries, but then do you ever watch those videos where they interview an artist and they're like, how's it going? They're like, well, I only spent like $40,000 joining all of these fancy art shows in New York. And
Oh,
I'm like, I don't want to do that.
no.
Like, I don't see myself doing
No.
that. I'm more of like, I would love to like really streamline my art sales online.
Yeah.
And when you're making art and then you also have like an admin background, I've found that it's actually kind of hard for me to balance those things. So I could spend a whole month playing on my website trying to figure out, like getting it set so that I can do the prints. I know there's like the drop ship prints, but then,
Yeah.
there's the upfront costs that come with that where you're like, somebody messes up and orders too many and I'm covering that printing cost. And then the shipping on those companies is really expensive. And so right now I'm trying to set up my website more so that I have an inventory. I feel confident about tracking that and shipping prints. And then it's kind of funny because like going to school for marketing and then I worked as a business advisor. I know all the steps to take, but when you're doing it for yourself, it's like I have
It's
this
so
thing where
different. Why is it like
yeah,
that?
I'm worried. Like, I really don't want to, get an order and not see it or run out of
Yeah.
ink. Or so, like, I'm a planner. And so, when it comes to stuff like that, I really envy the people who just go for it, who aren't trying to make things perfect. They're just doing it and then
Yeah.
fixing things. And so, I'm really trying to work on that. But that's where I'm headed. I think it's like when opportunities arrive, I apply. And I
Yeah.
love that idea, where you see the people who say, like, try to get rejected as much as possible, and then they end
Oh,
up getting all of these things. And I thought, yeah, I might as well apply,
yeah.
and then I've met other artists who have told me, just go to a restaurant. If you see they have like blank walls or it could be better,
Yeah.
just talk to the manager and tell them what you have and that you'd love to show your art for a little bit. And they're usually pretty nice about it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I
yeah.
think a lot of people do that. And then, I was talking to someone else too. They had like an order form, like where they had the regular pieces or prints, and they
Uh-huh.
would give that to like gift shops or galleries, and they could like restock prints of certain things. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, I
Yeah.
hadn't thought about that, but they also had their stuff up at restaurants and at coffee shops and all these things. And I was like, dang, this person is really taking off. And it's like a,
Yeah.
a different mindset there for some reason. And you're like, I think I'm more like you in that I'm like trying to think it through and don't want anyone to be like, oh, they're terrible. They didn't bring, like I ordered something and it took like 2 months and
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just the little things like that you don't want to mess up and
Hmm.
like totally, I don't know, ruin your reputation as an artist or something. But
Right.
and then
Right.
setting up your website in the best way. So like one of the things that I keep thinking about is like I guess it's sort of like the path or the journey that people take through your website.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right term, but I call it wireframing, where you write out the outline of where everything
Yeah.
goes on your website and where it leads. And like you can get these really wonderful ideas of how it works, but then I mean you need a week to get that all together and then you go down that hole and then you realize, oh wait, I need better photos. You know, when you're showing inventory, yeah, you can show like the print image, but sometimes they want to see like, well, what would it look like on a wall or on a frame? And
Yeah.
so there's like a whole other piece of work you need to do to load that up. And so I would be really great if there was a like an online class or something where artists could get together and talk about, because people have different website hosts.
Oh,
They use
sure. Yeah.
different pieces. Some people are on Shopify, some people are using Square, some people are just like doing it themselves. And it'd be really nice to hear like what works the best.
Yeah.
Because for us out there, we're just like looking stuff up and then like we see some things that sound good, but we don't really know. Like, and so I used to have a WordPress site and then I
Mhm.
moved over to Weebly, which is so much easier.
Yeah.
And like you don't need all the bells and whistles if it's a simple stream. And Weebly's
Yeah.
owned by Square now, so that all
Oh,
works
wow.
together.
I didn't know
And but
that.
I mean that's what I'm working on. So now like now that I have these two things together, I was able to switch to Square because QuickBooks told me I needed their payment system. And I'm like, that'd be really nice if there is one place to go, right?
Yeah.
Now there's a great PDF idea to sell on Etsy, everything you need for your art business. That would be really nice.
Oh my goodness. I do feel like there are a lot of people out there doing that, but in selling services or coaching to artists, and then that can be overwhelming in itself because,
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but I bought some of those services and I'm like, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. And then I realize, oh, I still have to do all the things, like I still have to make myself like build the website and do the stuff and figure it out. They're
Yeah.
not going to do it for me. But then
Mhm.
these people over here are saying, don't do it that way, do it this way. And then they're saying, don't do it that way, do it this way.
Right. And then I'm sure there's videos out there where somebody has found really great ways and gives you reviews on everything. But how do you find that video now? Everything is
Yeah.
so cluttered
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
looking for that stuff. So it's hard, but it's also those classes. I tried one of those classes and I realized I was like, I just went to school for marketing and like this is just like hitting like the little pieces that we went over in school. So I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a sec, I know how to do all this stuff. I know like I just need to when you get down to it, it's the people who are like putting their head down and doing the work. And you have to do it, but it's also sometimes it's just hard. It's like that
Yeah.
executive dysfunction where you're like, well, I was painting all day, I didn't get to the website. Now I have laundry.
And
So
it's not like a one and done thing either. You got to keep it up and,
yeah.
refresh it and change it. And I started to realize on my website, I had all this old stuff up and I didn't have anything that I had recently done. And I was like, okay, that's terrible. What am I
Yeah.
paying for this website for? And this is all old.
Yeah, and it's so funny because like you'll go to work for someone else and you'll keep their website up to date, you'll get their social
Yeah.
media done, all the bills are paid, everything's all set, you know what day of the week you do what. But when
Yeah.
it comes time to do that for yourself and show up for yourself, it's like I need to be hypnotized or something. I don't know. Like there's this thing where you feel like, oh, it's okay. I can have another cup of coffee and I've got this over here. But
Yeah. It's so
it's
much
like you
harder
really,
to
yeah, you got
do.
to set aside like hours where you're like, no, 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 I'm at work.
Yeah.
Maybe we should make AI bot that acts like our boss and checks
Oh.
on us, like yeah, have you updated your
Have,
website
have
yet?
you turned in your blog post yet?
Right.
Like
I'm
I
really
had just
disappointed.
I had just posted this other artist was doing like pixel drawings but she had this video where she was going through all the things that artists are expected to do now, like have an Etsy shop and, update the Etsy shop, have a website and then make videos and make sure you have your nails done if you're videoing your hands and all the things. And I was like, it is so true. Like
Yeah.
there's all these like suddenly there's expectations, I think because of the digital world and everything that happens with that and the opportunity there. And it's
Hmm.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
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 To
There's
do
just a
for
lot
yourself.
here. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like I need a team to do this, but
Yeah. But what's interesting okay, this it's like there are some artists who are so good at just they just do it and they don't hesitate and they don't procrastinate and they're just doing the thing. And I'm like, how?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is
And
the difference? Like, why is this person just doing it? And then
yeah.
the
And
rest of us are like, this is so hard. Why can't I do it? You know?
yeah, sometimes it can get really hard, but there's these other pieces where like I don't know if it's like a mom thing or if it's because I'm not doing a 9 to 5 right now. And so I wonder if like I must have this guilt. So when
Mm,
I'm working on just my stuff, I'm like, well, I feel like I need to go take a break and like, just concentrate on the house today or like, work on the garden out
yeah.
front. And when it's like, no, I think it's okay. Like, we need to block out time. Like, we're at work. And if we
Mm,
are able to do that, then, we'll see the benefits from it later,
yeah.
hopefully financially. But it's hard to do. I think as moms too, it's like,
Oh yeah. I'll always feel like, if I'm working on something, it'll be like I've hit like I'm on a roll and I'm updating the website and I'm doing all the things and then I realize, wait a minute, I should probably go like hang out with the kids and we should go outside.
yeah, yeah.
But I'm on a roll and I've been like trying to get to that point of like doing the thing and
Yeah, I know. And it's so hard. It's like I'm always chasing that feeling of like getting lost in something because that's where like I think all of our hearts really like, I don't know. I feel like our calling, whatever you do where you can just get lost in it, that's what you should be doing. And it's so nice to do that. But then when we've got a lot of
other
other
things.
priorities,
Yeah.
that's where that guilt comes where it's like, okay, wait, I got to check on her. We got to go do something, make sure she
Yeah.
ate lunch.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true. So, what do you have like coming up as far as any events or things happening for
Right
you?
now, the newest one is my artwork over at Stella. That's the newest one. And then I'm applying over at Flourish. I think a lot of people are. So, we'll see if
Oh,
I get in or not. And then I told myself that I'm just going to work on these derivatives and just do my best on that and not apply to anything yet. I did
mm,
that first vendor show, but I'd really like to get some more solid work under my belt and then start applying to shows because I had a lot of fun at Arts Alive. It
yeah,
was such a nice venue. I had a nice time being outside and talking to
yeah,
people.
immersive.
And I have a 10. So I'm excited to like start getting into that stuff.
Yeah.
And like part of the art ADD, I don't know if you do this, but like you're into one thing, but then I'm like, but I like sewing. Maybe I can make some bags.
Oh my gosh. I just show you what I just bought. I bought
And I
like a
want to make
stack of like
purses.
embroidery stuff and I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I buying embroidery stuff?
Yeah, because it's fun.
It's just like I want to do
Yeah.
that too. And
Right.
I don't want to do this. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
But I told myself I'm just gonna work on these pieces and try to get that out. And then like there's all these easy ones where I do those color blocks in my garden. I love the way they turn out and I have fun doing it. And so I think I just
Yeah.
want to like I have all these like pieces of canvas that I'm like, I don't know what to do with this one or this, and like I can't think of what I want to do with it. And then I'm like, oh, I should just do color blocking of my garden and
Yeah.
just have fun with it and see where it goes. Because that's that part where I want to get lost, or it's like, you can be working on something, but I kind of feel like I'm ready to go into like, as much as I'm working on these, I kind of want to go into that mode where I'm just like messing around.
Mm.
And, it's when you do that that you start getting these new ideas. And I'm kind
Mm.
of in that space right now where I want to just try some things out and
Yeah.
see what happens or if I get a new idea from it.
Yeah. There's a lot of experimentation that has to go into, kind of building I don't know, a style or a vision or a body
Yeah,
of work
right.
and to try and figure out, especially if you're the kind of artist that is interested in all different mediums, what would it look like if I combined these things together?
Yeah. And I mean, I've heard some really great ideas too, where somebody said, just like pick something. Doesn't matter what it is. Find an object, pick it up, and draw it, paint it, do it in every medium you possibly can, and just do it like every day for like a year. And then you're
Holy
gonna
cow.
find your style through that
Yeah.
more than if you're just like making the same, like I'm doing these mandalas. but when you're just like concentrating on that one object. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like pick something that I'm just gonna like sketch every day or work on every week. And then the other one, have you seen, there's this woman who gets, it's kind of like a calendar, you know, your desk calendar, all the squares, and she'll just like blot paint on it and she'll look at it like you look at the clouds. And then she'll come up with some stuff in each one. So for each day of the month, she's got some random imagination practice going on there
Yeah.
where you just kind of look at stuff and see like what you see in the blob and then draw it out. But yeah, I'm just kind of in that place
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, like an
I've got all these
experiment.
ideas, but I'm like, well, I kind of want to make purses and I just want to like play around with paint.
Oh my gosh. Don't even get me started about all the things. I've got like, like little wooden slabs, like little wooden things, and I've got little
Yeah.
bags and fabric paint and clay and what am I doing,
Yeah.
Oh my
Have you
goodness.
seen, a lot of people haven't seen this movie, I don't think, because when I bring it up, people are like, what are you talking about? It's a movie called Strawberry Mansion. Have you heard of that?
No.
If you ever
It,
get a chance to
it
watch it,
sounds like something that I would be interested in though.
it's my favorite movie, but there's a period where this guy is interviewing this woman and he's like, well, what do you do for work? And she basically says what we were just talking about. She's like, well, sometimes I like to make some videos of dreams, and then other times I'll, go down to the river and, see if the fish have something to say. But then and she goes through this whole spiel of like all this stuff, and then he just looks at his paper and he writes down artist.
That's awesome.
The best scene. And it's like this really weird world where the government taxes you things you see in your dreams.
Weird.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's so good. But yeah, Strawberry Mansion, I recommend it for everyone.
Yeah, that's cool. You got
Yeah.
any book recommendations or
No, I
inspiration
can't read
there?
without falling asleep these days. So no,
Oh,
that's not going to happen. I
I was
listen
like,
to
can't finish
podcasts.
anything.
Yeah, no.
Any podcasts?
I listen to spooky podcasts. I
Oh,
love
okay.
like so when I'm painting and whatnot, I'm either listening to my music, but with podcasts, I love like there's Jim Harold's Campfire.
Okay.
People call
Yeah.
it and just, tell stories of something
Oh my
that
goodness.
happened. And,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, it's from all over the world. People will call it and just say like, and they're all different kinds of stories. Somebody will say they had a haunted house, or somebody will say like, somebody visited them in a dream, or it's a collection of everybody's kind of life, that weird thing that happened, and
Yeah.
anyone can call in and talk about it.
Oh,
What are the others? I love the Y Files.
okay.
And so he kind of debunks like all the weird, like woo-woo stuff that people have, like that's out there, like split universes or stories of like just all kinds of crazy stuff. And he'll talk about it and tell you the story, and then at the end he'll debunk it. And sometimes he says, he can't debunk it. And then he also interviews like really interesting people. And so that's a good one. But yeah, it's usually like mysteries, or like I love podcasts about like science and what reality is. So when they have a
Yeah.
scientist come on and talk about, the
But
quantum.
see, okay. See, here's the thing though. That sounds like it would open up all these rabbit holes that I would want to go down.
Yeah, it's great.
And you're like, yes,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
it's wonderful. It's funny because I heard them saying all these words on the podcast and like naming all these names of like people who say they've been abducted by aliens, or like the name of like the Kozarev mirror. Like I know what all these things are because I've listened to these podcasts so long. And it's not necessarily like conspiracy theories. It's just like stories of a guy who said like, "Oh, I worked at Area 51." And you're like, "What?" But you listen to it. There's one guy who pretended he was with the clergy to get out of the draft for Vietnam.
Wow.
And then like had some weird, like something happened where he saw like unidentified something in the sky. But it's like just a weird story. I love that. I love it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
talking to me and sharing all this. I've got to go look up all these things, and it might be my new obsession because it sounds super fun.
Yeah.
But where can people find your art online and everything?
My website is thepaintingcollage.com, or I'm at Low Mill. And right now it's just that artwork over at Stella, but mostly at Low Mill, and I'm making new things and trying new things out.
What number are you at Low Mill? second
Uh,
floor or?
yeah, I'm on the second floor, North Building 2046.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm glad we could make up our
Yeah.
I can't even remember all the things we talked about before, but this is really fun. I think it was a little
Yeah,
bit
this is
more.
great. Yeah. I'm glad we had
Yeah.
the time too to
Yeah, yeah.
go down some holes there.
Thank you for listening to Art Talk with April. New episodes are out Tuesday at 6 p.m.